So, hello everyone. Today we have a very special guest with us. Special because she is one of my closest friends from school, and we all know her as a great singer. But today she is joining for a different purpose. Today she has joined as a law graduate, or to be a law graduate because she just finished her exam on Friday, I guess. Friday को ही हुआ है ना? Saturday.
Saturday.
Saturday, yes. And we'll be discussing about a very important topic, which is sexual harassment at workplace. So,
Yes.
welcome Alisha to the first ever conversation and podcast with Apur. कैसा लगा आपको
Thank
join
you so
करके?
much.
And what do we have in store
Good,
for us?
fantastic. You have in store for yourself. I think this should be common knowledge. I do not come from a place of legal expertise since I am not a professional yet. I can only speak from my experience as a woman and the knowledge that I have gained so far during my internships and through what I've learned in my law school. And these are very minute things that we should keep in mind, and also I hope that whoever gets to see this is at least a little more sensitized towards this issue, because it's not even about gender anymore, as we are gradually progressing towards a society which is inclusive and is becoming gender neutral. I
Yeah.
believe this should be common knowledge. So, without getting into a lot of technicalities, I think we would be covering the aspects which are needed for everyone alike to know, whether they're working in an organized sector or the unorganized sector.
That's true. Related है. विशाखा केस actually था क्या और Posh क्या है?
Okay. So, Vishakha case, as I told you, भवरी देवी नाम की एक लेडी थी जो अपने काम ही कर रही थी जब वो हेल्प कर रही थी कि चाइल्ड मैरिज जो है ये सोसाइटी से खत्म हो जाए. राजस्थान में बहुत प्रेवलेंट था उस
Right.
टाइम पे, एंड शी वाज वर्किंग विद द गवर्नमेंट.
This is around 2000 and early 2000s.
No. This is in 1992 और 1993.
Okay. Right.
ठीक है. तो उस टाइम पे ये इंसिडेंट हुआ था कि वो काम कर रही थी और दलित थी वो, and some men of the upper caste, they were not happy with the work that she was doing, and they gang raped in retaliation, which for one thing is absolutely मतलब इसमें तो proportion की बात भी नहीं आती है. ये disproportionate है कि अगर आपको गुस्सा भी आ रहा है, this is a crime. You are not supposed to do it in the very first place. Second, why did it happen? Because she was just doing her job. It's a part of her job.
Right.
और ऐसे नहीं कि वो कुछ गलत कर रही है. She is going out there to do the right thing so that the society can actually progress.
Right.
अगर आप बच्चों की शादी करा दोगे, and we all know कि उस टाइम पे भी कितना ज्यादा गर्ल चाइल्ड इश्यूज हैव बीन रेलेवेंट सिंस टाइम मेमोरियल.
Exactly.
सती प्रथा एंड ऑल ऑफ दिस. व्हाई इज इट कि ये जितने भी इविल्स होते हैं इसमें सबसे ज्यादा माना जाता है कि women are being victimized, women are
Right.
being targeted.
Right.
Now that women
Male dominant
speak,
society
people
तभी.
still,
हाँ.
people still say कि अब क्या फेमिनिज्म की जरूरत है. Not all men. Obviously,
Right.
not all men. We are not
Right.
saying all men.
Right.
But the minute you see it, you are invalidating the person's experience. You are not
Exactly.
being considerate to what they're saying. Right?
Yeah.
So this was also the case back then. Then women activists and lawyers, they decided that they want to, it was, actually felt, I think, since ever. It was just like इतनी मतलब blatant violation था,
हाँ.
किसी के काम करने के बेसिक राइट का. एंड इतनी गलत तरीके से people took law in their मतलब I don't know what to say. It's not like that they have taken the law in their hand, because they murdered the laws at this point.
Yeah.
Right? तो जब ये सारी चीजें हो रही थी, it is obviously out there in the face of मतलब it was in our face, the reality was in our face that women are insecure even when they're doing a job.
Right.
Which is a basic right. Men are doing it, we women can't do it, क्योंकि हमें डर लगता है कि अगर हम बेसिक काम भी करने जा रहे हैं, हमारे लिए तो एटमॉस्फेयर ऐसा क्रिएट हो जाएगा कि हमें डर डर के जीना है, या कोई भी कुछ भी कर देगा. क्या कर सकते हो आप?
Right.
So then this case was taken up, and the Supreme Court, it did lay down some guidelines which related to sexual harassment at work. So that is passing of any sexual remarks, behaving in a manner that is, which is having sexual undertones, verbal conduct, non-verbal conduct, all of these things which are sexually colored did come under sexual harassment.
Right.
नेक्स्ट बीइंग बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज एट वर्क प्लेस इज कि जब ये चीजें हो रही हैं द वुमेन इज फीलिंग प्रेजुडिस्ड इन द मैनर दैट एक तो सी women anatomically as feminists we are asking for equal rights and equal opportunities.
Right.
We are not saying कि हम भी we would weigh 90 kgs and we will wrestle with you. हम ये
Right.
नहीं कह रहे हमें तुम्हारे साथ wrestle नहीं करना है. The entire point is that we want the same kind of opportunities, right? So when these things happen, again यही basic फंडा था कि
Right.
women will feel कि अगर हमने मना किया, if we are rejecting somebody's sexual advances or we are
Yeah.
rejecting किसी का offer के if you if you in exchange of sexual favors I will help you get further in career, कि अगर हमने मना कर दिया तो भी हमारे लिए detrimental है. We could lose our jobs.
But anyway, we were losing.
हाँ तो
Anyway, we didn't have the opportunity.
हाँ मतलब we are at the losing end anyway, right?
Yeah.
तो ये जो था Supreme Court, the judiciary, it did acknowledge this fact, and this is how sexual harassment at workplace particularly and was envisioned. कि इसके लिए we need provisions.
Okay.
If this should be codified now, it is needed. However, it was enacted much later in 2013.
Okay.
Ironically.
Is the definition of sexual harassment in law, is that also subjective to a person's perspective?
Okay, so we are going to be talking about Posh, which is protection of women from sexual harassment at workplace. Okay, so this is not a gender neutral act. First, this is directed for women. In fact, the act very specifically uses the word aggrieved woman wherever the offense is discussed. Second of all, the provisions of the act are wide enough to cover indirect and direct actions, which are मतलब हम बहुत commonly सुनते हैं कि ना लोग कहते हैं कि in exchange of a sexual favor, they would either help the woman progress in her career, or if she refuses it, मैं बर्बाद कर दूंगा.
Right. Yeah.
So this could be implicit and explicit. Also, we see in society every other day that some or the other disgusting thing is happening. There are people out there who are waiting for that one opportunity कि कहीं से number मिले और मैं harass कर.
Yeah.
मतलब even during the times of COVID, I think this was all over the
There was a
Instagram
case
that how
also,
one
yeah.
girl, how she
Of-
received unsolicited pictures, and it was, and also just look at the gravity of the situation. She is in distress. She's trying to find medical resources for somebody that she loves and who's in danger, and she wants to protect them. She wants to provide for them. And उस time पे भी कोई इस बात का फायदा उठा रहा है कि ओ इसका number available है.
Let's just take the opportunity, grab it. Yeah.
Exactly. So now the thing is that this act per se, it covers any indirect or direct act which is likely to cause threat to the employment status, causes threat to the working environment of the woman, is a threat to her safety and her mental space in the work environment if it is intimidating, or if any advances are made, or even if they're implicit, which would give her the kind of false promise that if you do this for me, I will help you go further in your career.
Right.
So all of these things, they are covered under the act. Apart from this, since I again come back to what I said, कि हर एक का threshold अलग होता है. The judicial system of this country is sane enough to know if something that is not at the face of it looking what it is, if there are enough evidences to prove that what the complainant is saying is legit, and it is not baseless and frivolous, and is just out of personal vendetta.
Yeah.
Things like these are considered.
Right.
In fact, say in one of the judgments of Delhi High Court, I think this was back in 2008 or 2010. You can also look it up. This is Dr. Punita versus Union of India and others. So in this case, the Delhi High Court specifically mentioned how men might think that certain remarks or certain kind of behavior, they would think that it is harmless. Okay,
Right.
chalta hai.
हाँ.
It is not as grave as I am thinking it is. She is just being overly sensitive. या
Right.
फिर general notion है, generally बोल देते हैं what is the big deal. However,
Yeah.
women, they have
Yeah.
a different perspective to it. And I think the reason behind this holding was that when we see such instances around us, it is horrifying. We don't know if the
Yeah.
सामने वाले बंदे का intention of saying any such things, or even if somebody is staring at us, staring at us shamelessly, even
Right.
after we let them know through our looks that look, we are not okay with it, this is not
Right.
comfortable,
Yeah.
they still go on doing it. We are scared for our lives at times,
That's true.
कि
Yeah.
क्या पता हमें स्टॉक करे.
हाँ.
We don't know what is the next step. ज्यादा रिपेल किया तो कुछ हो ना जाए.
हाँ.
There are just innumerable factors.
Right.
Voyeurism, stalking, rape, threats, and God knows what all. So
And
nobody
being a
wants that
boy,
kind of.
being on this side of the gender, being a boy, I cannot even imagine कि किस तरीके से remarks और वो सब pass on होते होंगे. Good point which you brought up कि a lot of times we don't have the evidence कि एक रिमार्क एक सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट या एक सेक्सुअल एडवांसमेंट हमारे ऊपर करा गया है, वी डोंट हैव द एविडेंस, स्पेशली इन अ वर्क प्लेस
Correct.
जिसमें हमें है कि हमें अपना करियर प्रोग्रेस करना है. सो समवन जस्ट सेड वर्बली सेड इट इन द वर्क एनवायरनमेंट एंड नाउ वी आर स्ट्रक कि मेरे पास तो कोई एविडेंस नहीं है. सो व्हाट शुड आई रिपोर्ट इट टू एचआर और विल, तो मतलब दैट विल बी consequential to my career, or should I just give it to the advancement that my colleague made?
Okay, so this is a very relevant question since you brought in the HR. So now, if I stick to what the Act says, it says that in any organization, ऐसी कोई भी company हो जहाँ पे 10 से ज़्यादा लोग काम कर रहे हैं, there are 10 or more people working there, there should be an internal complaints committee which should be constituted under the Act. If the company does not comply with this, there is also a penal provision of, I think, a fine of rupees 50,000. And if there is like continued uh, uh, क्या कहते हैं इसको violation of this provision, then obviously the amount increases, and it might also result in cancelling the license of the company. So that is one thing. Now the basic provision as to why this ICC is supposed to be constituted for a company is that first is the constitution of this committee. It is supposed to have a presiding officer who is a woman of a senior level, and at least half of the members of this committee should be women. I think this is because first thing, the act itself is targeted towards providing the safeguards towards women, and also women are considered to be more sensitive towards these issues, and I think it is also relevant since if you look at the cases, I mean it is disproportionate about how many times a man would have complained of being sexually harassed or harassed in any manner at his workplace, and how much a woman would have been harassed. So that is one. And complaint to the and wherever this is not set up, there is a setup of local committee at district level. So herein the officer who's like in the place of presiding officer, the district officer is supposed to see that this committee is working properly, and there should be women of some high order in the society who might be associated with NGOs or are working for this cause, who should be at that position so that there is still that same level of sensitivity that is maintained even in the unorganized sectors. By unorganized sectors I mean even like there are startups, there might be just 5 people working.
Right.
या एक गांव में एक छोटा सा कुछ ऐसा स्टार्टअप या वेंचर खुल रहा है जहाँ पे 6 लोगों का वर्कफोर्स है, दे आर स्टिल ट्राइंग टू मर्ज आउट, बट वहाँ पे अवेयरनेस भी नहीं है. तो
Right.
वहाँ पे ये एक लोकल कमेटी होगी जहाँ पे वो अपना मतलब ग्रीवेंस लेके जा सकते हैं. इन केस इस चीज का भी एक्सेस नहीं है तो फिर होता है पुलिस स्टेशन में जाके कंप्लेंट करना, वो तो आप कर सकते
Right.
हो. बट so let's say this person is commenting on your Facebook pictures.
Right.
This person is sending you messages. This
Yeah.
person is calling you incessantly at after work hours. So these would be certainly something that would constitute as evidence. I mean, you could keep a call recording if anything is being said of that sort, because then you know that it is a pattern that this person is following.
Right.
ये कॉल करेगा और फिर ये कुछ अजीब सी चीजें बात मेरे से बोलेगा which I am not going to be comfortable with. Let me record this and then let me produce it as an evidence. Next, sending emojis which are unprofessional, talking in an unprofessional manner, passing any comments or any remarks on how a woman looks, a sexist remark, anything that has a sexual undertone, flirtatious remarks, they would constitute as evidence of harassment.
Okay, so
Showing of
on this this message and remarks thing, a very recent incident which happened with my friend. So उसका employer, उसका manager basically, उसने उसको message भेजा कि you look great in your team. और उसमें वो थी and उसकी एक friend, ठीक है? So would that qualify as a sexual remark, or would that be
see,
offensive?
it
Because that was
depends on the
totally uncalled
kind.
for. Yeah.
Right. It actually depends on the kind of equation you share with the person. Now, if one of my friends says, "Ke, hi, you look gorgeous in the picture," and is
Yeah.
sending some heart emojis with it, I'll be fine with it. She's my friend. She can see it. I'm comfortable. She has my consent.
Right.
However, if this person that I do not interact with, but I see that he looks at me in a creepy manner when I'm in office,
Yeah.
and then he's sending me such messages, these are uncalled for.
Right.
You
Exactly.
don't. We are sharing a connection which is
A
limited to our
professional,
work.
yeah, a
And
professional relationship.
right, and yeah, and out of the workspace, you and I are not friends. So I you do not have my consent to comment on my looks or my body or anything of that sort. So it does. And if it is a repeated behavior pattern, then more so.
But अगर ऐसा होता है कि even the female without actually being sexually harassed, वो जाके complain करती है without any evidence compared to a female जिसके पास evidence नहीं है but वो harass हुई है. So इन दोनों
Right.
सिचुएशन में how can a person जो अथॉरिटी में आईसीसी है या एचआर है वो कैसे डिस्टिंग्विश करेगा कि कौन सी सिचुएशन में हमें विक्टिम को प्रिवेंट करना चाहिए, कौन से में बस हमारा एक फायदा उठाएगा?
Okay, first, this is not a baseless question. This is a very relevant question. Second, okay, एविडेंस जब आपके पास पहली बार जब आप कुछ भी केस लेके जाते हो क्रिमिनल केस में ना, you need to have evidence,
Right.
especially in criminal cases, because the gravity of the situation is much more than in a civil case, right? और if you see at the blind lady of the कहते हैं ना कानून अंधा होता है, आंखों पे पट्टी बंधी है, जब तक आप एविडेंस नहीं दोगे they would not know how credible it is. तो क्या होता है कि और दूसरी एक चीज ये भी होती है कि इन केस ऑफ वुमेन आई से नॉट फॉर मेन कि women tend to have more advantage in such cases. So first being कि पहले तो आप अपने जो भी आपके साथ ऐसा behave कर रहा है, if it is your employee, if it is a colleague, not an employer, if it is a colleague, you can send them a mail that look, this is how you behaved with me, and I do not approve of it. I'm not comfortable. Please stop doing so and so.
That
So
is
then
step
it is
one.
on
This is
record
step
that
one.
yeah, this is step one if there is absolutely no evidence.
Right.
Because then you are putting it out that see, मैंने अपना concern आगे convey किया था, but this person has still not stopped doing what they would do.
Right.
Next, अगर ये आप नहीं, और अगर आपका employer है तो आप क्या करोगे? Because then your job is at stake.
Yeah.
Then you go to the police station.
Okay.
And the thing with this is कि जितनी जल्दी हो सके आप अपना complaint lodge कराइए. Because it is a very established principle in criminal law that आप जितना लेट करते हैं अपना कंप्लेंट लॉन्च कराना, एफआईआर लॉन्च कराना, उतना ही कम क्रेडिबल हो जाता है आपका कंप्लेंट. बिकॉज देन a lot of things come into picture के probably this is concocted, it must be out of personal vendetta, कुछ हुआ होगा, she must want to take revenge, या फिर also with the fact कि जितना ज्यादा टाइम होता जाता है, the memories that you have of the incident, you might miss out on certain very important details,
Right.
which is absolutely human.
Right.
You are bound to forget one or two things. So the sooner you go and report, the more accurate the picture would be in terms of what has happened. Right. So that is one recourse.
जिस आदमी ने शायद उसका मोटिवेशन सेक्सुअली हैरेस करना नहीं था, ठीक है, उसका जो रिमार्क था वो उतना उस मोटिवेशन से नहीं था, तो पुलिस ने अपना एक्शन फॉरवर्ड किया, बट उस आदमी की रेपुटेशन खराब हो गई उस वजह से, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली द गर्ल लॉस्ट इन एफआईआर.
Okay. So, okay, this is slightly elaborate.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. So,
Yeah.
this is also because कि पहली बात तो अगर किसी ने कंप्लेंट किया है
Yeah.
और it is not credible, मतलब it is a frivolous complaint,
Yeah.
तो तरीका उससे डील करने का अलग है. अब जैसे कि अगर कोई एम्प्लॉई आपका कलीग आपको हैरेस करता है या आपके लिए अनकंफर्टेबल सिचुएशंस क्रिएट करता है जानबूझ के, बट यू डोंट हैव द एविडेंस,
Right.
देन इट इज नॉट कंसिडर्ड कि आपने फ्रिविलेज कंप्लेंट किया.
Okay.
हाउएवर इफ यू हैव, क्योंकि हर कंप्लेंट की ना एक इंक्वायरी होती है.
Hmm.
इट्स
Right.
नॉट कि बस आईसीसी में कंप्लेंट किया और हो गया.
Right.
ICC will then inquire into the
Inquire.
complaint. They would, हाँ, और this is also needed. और इसके लिए ना उनके पास पावर होती है similar to a court. They can ask for people who could be potential witnesses, documentary evidences, and everything of that sort. Just to connect the dots.
Right.
What is being told to us is
Right.
not baseless.
Right.
So that mechanism is there. It is in
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
And in case it is found that the complaint is frivolous, completely frivolous, then what happens is that जो चीजें मतलब एक offender को face करनी पड़ती हैं according to the service rules of the company, and in case नहीं है, then what the complaint committee considers to be a fit action, then the same would be taken against such a woman if she constitutes a false, a false complaint. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, जब भी आपके साथ ऐसा कोई वाक्य होता है, ऐसा कोई इंसिडेंट होता है, विदिन 3 months, ये एक लिमिटेशन पीरियड होता है. इसके ही भीतर आपको बताना होता है अपने आईसीसी में या लोकल कमिटी में कि ऐसा कुछ इंसिडेंट हुआ है दैट मेरे को हैरेस्ड फील हुआ है. अगर सीरीज ऑफ इंसिडेंट्स हैं, मतलब होते ही जा रहा है, इट इज अ पैटर्न,
Right.
देन जो भी लास्ट इंसिडेंट होता है उसके बाद से 3 महीने के अंदर अंदर आपको रिपोर्ट करना होता है. In case there was a reasonable ground for why the woman has delayed in complaining or has delayed in reaching out to the committee,
Right.
then it is up to the committee to extend that period by 3 months.
Okay.
So then what happens is कि इसके बाद जो है एक स्टेप होता है इंक्वायरी का, बट बिफोर इंक्वायरी
Yeah.
the woman has the option of opting for conciliation. कि जो ऑफेंडर है,
हाँ.
जो हैरेसर है उनका, उनके साथ एक सेटलमेंट हो जाए, बट दिस सेटलमेंट इज नॉट सपोज्ड टू बी मॉनिटरी.
Settlement
The
is not
settlement
supposed to
has
be monetary.
no, this is supposed to be in terms of the फ्यूचर बिहेवियर. के हो गया कि मतलब मान लेते तुमने कि सामने वाले बंदे से गलती से हो गया,
And if the
they
woman
didn't
wants
realize
it
the
to be
consequences.
monetary,
नहीं, वो
अच्छा,
ऑप्शन ही
it's not
नहीं है.
allowed. अच्छा, ऑप्शन ही नहीं है. Okay.
Yeah, because how can you compensate somebody's bodily violation in terms of
Yeah.
money? You cannot,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because then ना एक और चीज आ जाएगी कि ओ देखा कंप्लेंट भी किया तो इतना फर्क नहीं पड़ता, देखो पैसे लेके चुप हो.
That's very good.
नेक्स्ट, इफ दी अग्रीव्ड वुमन डज नॉट विश टू कंसीलिएट, अगर उनका मन नहीं है कि वो सेटलमेंट पर आए, तो फिर आगे कंप्लेंट की इंक्वायरी होती है. This inquiry is supposed to finish within 90 days.
Okay.
क्योंकि जितना ज्यादा डिले करोगे उतना थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम.
डिटेल्स भी आपके हो जाए. हाँ.
या नेक्स्ट एक होता है प्रोविजन इंटरिम रिलीफ का. इंटरिम रिलीफ इसके जब तक खत्म नहीं हो जाता ये पूरा इंक्वायरी का प्रोसेस, द एंटायर प्रोसेस, द लीगल रिकोर्स बेसिकली, तब तक के क्या रिलीफ मिल सकता है अग्रीव्ड वुमन को. दैट इज कि या तो सर्विस रूल्स के अकॉर्डिंग एम्प्लॉयर डिसाइड करे कि उनको क्या करना है, या तो वो 3 महीने की छुट्टी दे दें उनको जो लेडी, and they should not be included in her leaves which are actually there as a part of her employment contract, right? Then is they transfer her to some other branch of the same workplace. उनका प्लेस ऑफ वर्क चेंज कर दिया जाए ताकि उनके लिए इंटिमिडेटिंग ना हो एनवायरनमेंट. So these are a few things that can be done from the end of the employer.